in. I hope you enjoy learning about this. I probably could talk about this for 3 hours, but I won't. But I don't say this flippantly. When I sat down to write the wedding sales strategy course, I really poured my heart and soul into this. I have been working in the special events industry for 17 years. In a variety of capacities, and as many of you know, I have owned a full-service planning, design, and production company for the past 10 of those years, and so there have been a lot of lessons learned the hardest way possible through all of that, and I feel really passionate about just the notion that not everyone should have to learn those lessons in the hardest way possible. There's an easier way. And so in this course, I give a pretty raw look. I don't hold anything back. I'm not shy about anything. You will see real examples, real numbers, and real proven strategies that have worked for us and what hasn't worked for us. So thank you to those of you who submitted questions. I'm going to answer those. I'm excited to, and I'm going to walk you through the curriculum of this course and what's included and just kind of give you a good idea about what to expect. And if you see me look away for a second, I've got notes here. I think I could talk about this off the top of my head again for hours, but I do have notes because I want to make sure I don't skip over anything that's important to tell you. So when this course starts, the way that you take it, it's an online digital course. It takes about 2.5 hours to work through the whole thing. And the modules are broken up into kind of in between, like anywhere from 2 to 10 minutes. And that's on purpose so that this is all really easily digestible content. And you can sit down and work through it all at once, or you can decide to do a section or two at a time. And the best part about it, the thing that I think I love most, is that you can go back to any section at any point in time if you feel like you want to revisit something or you didn't quite grasp a concept, or maybe even, let's say you take the course and a couple of months from now you have put some of these strategies and practices that I share with you into practice, and something feels like it's rough, or you just really want to kind of revisit those concepts, then just go back to it and you can access it at any time. So it starts out, the first module, I literally have titled Get Over It and Get Serious. And I don't mean that in a condescending way, but this boils down to a very simple fact. The average person working in the wedding industry is afraid of selling. They're afraid of being labeled a salesperson, and they're afraid of what it means to be selling and to readily admit that you're selling. And if nothing else, I want you to walk away from this course really understanding that if you are not selling your business, whether you own the business or you're an employee who is providing a service to people, if you're not selling that service, then nobody is, right? Your customers literally have no real reason to hire you if you're not giving them a good reason to do so and a good reason to invest their trust in you. And so we grapple with these concepts at the start of the course because it's okay to sell. And it's not only okay, it's absolutely imperative. It's really critical that you feel comfortable with the notion that you're a salesperson. And everything I've included in this course is there for the express purpose of making sure that you not only feel like you're selling in an authentic manner, but that you actually do sell in an authentic manner. We talk about how to ditch the fear behind those things, how to dispel untruths, and literally let go of the worry that you're going to be compared to a sleazy used car salesman, right? We hear that stereotype all the time. Well, it's pretty easy not to be sleazy when you're selling something that you're passionate about, but you have to be informed about what your clients or your prospective clients' needs are. And more importantly, perhaps relevant to this conversation, because I think you probably know that you need to be informed about your prospective clients' needs, but you have to be informed about the needs of your business, or what you're selling is not going to matter. So we talk about those things. We talk about why you sell. And then we quickly get into module 2, which might be my favorite one, which is surprising to me and would be surprising probably to my mother, who I think has just hopped on here as well. I will readily admit that growing up, I did not like and still do not like math. I am definitely an artist. I am a right-brained person. I don't enjoy math. But here's the thing. Even if you're like me and you don't enjoy spreadsheets and you don't enjoy calculators and you could care less about numbers, if you're an entrepreneur, if you own a business, or if you have any kind of role in helping a small business in the wedding industry succeed, then you need to know that you have to have a command of the numbers. And here's what I mean when I say know the numbers. I mean talking about the bottom line, okay? I mean knowing numbers right down to on a weekly or a monthly or a quarterly or a yearly basis, how many inquiries are coming in? How many of those inquiries are you converting into a piece of booked business? What is the length of time before someone's wedding that they're reaching out to you? So what's the booking cycle? Are you hearing from people an average of 3 to 6 months before their wedding date? Are you hearing from people an average of 12 to 18 months before their wedding date? That data matters in terms of how you connect with them, what you can offer them, and how you're pricing and actively selling your services to those people. And so I'm going to tell you really quickly, this is just real life scenario, kind of when I talk about knowing our numbers, this is why it's so important. This is what happened in our business. So we have been doing about 8 weddings per year, and that was not always the case. We used to do more like 25 to 30. And in some segments of the wedding industry, that's pretty normal. In fact, that might be even low. For a full service wedding planner, that's high. It was really unsustainable. And even as our business evolved and matured, as I brought on Betsy as a business partner, and she now co-owns the company with me, and we've grown our team, even with that added labor and talent and just literal bandwidth to serve people, doing 25 weddings a year means that we're sacrificing the level of service we can provide to our customers. So we had to figure out how to whittle that number down to be less volume. But again, also growing a team, meaning we have to have more revenue to support our payroll, our expenses, to be able to serve our clients well. So higher revenue needed to correspond with a lower volume in bookings. And that's sort of, for us, what our numbers needed to mean. So that meant we had to take a deep dive into looking at this data to figure out, how do we achieve that, and how do we sell, and what do we need to make sure that we're booking so that we can be here and be stable and serve our clients really well. So here's what it looks like for us. We see on average about 8 inquiries per month, okay? And you might be thinking, oh my gosh, that's a tiny amount. That's a scary low number. And the truth is, if I were still trying to book 25 to 30 weddings a year, that would be a really low number. That would probably frighten me. That would indicate there was a problem. But as we've refined our approach in terms of marketing, and we're making sure that we're really reaching out to and connecting with the right customer, 8 inquiries a month is great. And here's why. So if you take that math, 8 inquiries a month over 12 months, that means that we're seeing an average of 96 leads per year. Okay, so 96 new inquiries of couples reaching out to us about their wedding. And if I need to only book 8 weddings, do that math real quick. I only need to convert 8.3% of those inquiries. And that radically changes things. And before I knew that, I've got to tell you, I was approaching the sales process in ways that were really detrimental to us. I was more likely to lower the price because I felt the pressure to book a higher percentage of business. I would give away the farm. I would put our team in a position where we were doing work that we literally were not being paid to do. And we weren't ultimately booking the business that was the right fit for us. So it is a game changer, and it changes everything when you really understand your numbers. So in this course, I teach you how to do that and talk through all of the different considerations that you need to take into account. And I even give you templates for how to start tracking that data and really understanding it in a way that will serve you well. So we talk about how to determine your value, how to take into account your time, your expenses, your overhead, factor in your experience and expertise, and so that you can determine, it's not just about the hard numbers like time and expenses. You also need to factor in what is the value that you provide to your clients that you're serving. And then we also talk about longer term goals, because those matter every bit as much in the sales process and how you determine your pricing as well. And if you're not taking those into account, it's very hard to actually reach for those goals or ever achieve them. So then we kind of get into preparedness. So this is talking about before you're ever in a real sales interaction, before someone has set foot in your door or reached out to you to start a conversation, and ideally before they're even paying attention or doing that Google search to find you. These are all of the things that you need to have in place and be consistently coming back to make sure that your process is sound and solid, strategic, and constantly refined. So we talk about market research. This is a big one too. I think this is often a taboo subject. When I say market research, I mean knowing what the other folks in your segment of the industry, be it, in your local town, in the region, what they're doing, what their strengths are, how their approach might differ from yours, what their baseline pricing structure is. And that's incredibly important. And here's why. This kind of shook me the day that I just had this epiphany years ago and realized this. But if I don't know what my competitors have to offer and what they're doing, then my prospective client is more informed about my own industry than I am. And think about that. That's a big problem, right? And it's very simple. Let's say that a couple reaches out to you. Let's say you're a photographer and a couple reaches out to you about their wedding. Well, it's a safe bet that they have probably reached out to a solid handful of other photographers about their wedding as well. So you can be sure that they are going to have a sales interaction of some kind with other photographers, meaning they're talking about what they do, they're getting to know them, and they're going to ultimately be presented with a description of services and a price point or a set of price points and pricing structure. So that couple is exposed to more about your local industry in terms of what others are doing than you will know if you're not doing market research. And that puts you at a supreme disadvantage. So here's what I'm not saying, and I want to be clear about this. I am not saying it's important to do market research so that you can undercut people or that you can actively sell against your competitors. In fact, I think that's terrible. The whole point of this is for you to literally just be informed and be an expert in your industry. And here's an example of why that's important. So let's say that, and this happens a lot, I might be on the phone with someone and I can really ascertain pretty quickly that we're just not the right fit for them. We're not going to be the best team to serve their needs. So here's what I can do. If I'm knowledgeable about my competitors, I can refer them to someone who I know is going to make them really happy and be the right fit to serve their needs. And that accomplishes a multitude of things, right? It serves that couple, that bride and groom or bride well. It gives business to others in my industry, which helps elevate our shared industry. And that's important. This is an important community that I want to foster relationships with and continue to support. And then in turn, when the shoe's on the other foot and that wedding planner that maybe I referred that business to is on the phone with someone and they realize that they are either unavailable to serve their needs or not the right fit, then that wedding planner can refer the business back to us. And so there's a lot at stake here in terms of how you cultivate relationships. And that's what I mean when I talk about market research. We dive into all of that beyond just knowing what people's prices are. That's important, but it's not just important for the reasons you might think. It's important for a lot more reasons. And so we dive into all of that in the course. We also, we include a bonus download for you to do a SWOT analysis, which is part of, that's a term related to something that you use to do market research. And I walk you through how to do that. And we provide a template that you can use. We talk about, I don't want to repeat myself, but we talk a lot about pricing structure and how that relates to the market research that you do. And so all that's interrelated. And then the next module is really getting into tactics, sales tools and tactics. So this is a big one. This has the most sections in it, and this is really where a lot of the meat, I would say, of this course is. We talk about enthusiasm and confidence and trust and all of those concepts and why they're so important. I think those are the things that people forget about when they just think about the term sales, right? You're not just trying to convince somebody to spend money. You are convincing someone that you are worthy of their trust and that you are going to be the absolute best choice to serve them and their family well during a time that is incredibly emotionally significant in their lives. This is no small thing. And it matters how you understand their needs, how you communicate with them, and how you determine how you can best connect and demonstrate that you understand their needs, their priorities, and their preferences. And so we talk about all of those things. This is not a course that's going to give you in-depth guidance on social media or things like that, but I have included discussions of social media and your website, PR and advertising, because it is so integral to an overall sales process. And so we do dive into that a bit, just from an overall broader point of strategy. And we talk about proposals, pitching your business, and actually sharing proposals. And I love this. And I was not kidding earlier when I said that in this course, I don't hold back and I'm not shy about anything. It is a very wide open look at our company, at the mistakes we've made, the successes we've had, and how we have found, what we have found really enables us to serve our clients best. One of the things that we share is one of our actual sample proposals. So this is a real sales proposal that we send to someone who inquires about our business and is considering hiring us. So you get to see that, and I walk you through the way that it's laid out. There are very intentional decisions made. It is not a pricing document, okay? And that's the number one mistake that I see people making in all of my coaching clients. This is really common to kind of have the reaction that when someone reaches out to you about your company and they're interested in maybe booking you for their wedding, that you send them a pricing sheet. Don't do that. Stop doing that, okay? In this course, we're going to talk about why that is really not serving you well. It's not serving your prospective client well. They need a custom proposal, and that does not have to mean that you spend 5 hours on every new inquiry doing a proposal. So actually walk you through all of those steps and what's important, and show you a sample so that you can see it and how it plays out in real life. We talk about how to handle objections and what common objections you might hear, how to close the sale, and then cultivating and maintaining an active network of referrals. This is so important, and this is ultimately why I referenced a minute ago that while this is not a course on social media marketing per se, I do include a lot of that in there, and I share very concrete real life stories and examples with you of, we have had a lot of clients who have come to us through word of mouth, like 6 people removed. We could never have anticipated that someone would have told them about us. We've had clients that have found us on Instagram, on Facebook, on Pinterest, and all of those touch points are so vital in terms of being a small part of an overall broader marketing and sales strategy, because our voice has to be consistent across all of them. Our voice needs to be clear and concise and consistent. The design work that we do needs to be on display in a cohesive manner, and we want to make sure that no matter which one of those touch points someone first encounters, there's a clear and easy avenue of access to us. And so that's all part of a larger strategy that's really important, and that's why I've included that in this course. And then we move into Module 5, which is level up and keep growing. I love this one too. I keep saying this I really love all the modules. I love it so much, and I really just poured my heart into this. But level up and keep growing, that's where we talk about you know your numbers, you've determined your pricing strategy, you've got these tactics down, you understand how to have confident conversations with people and how to attract the right business. But then what, right? It doesn't stop there. You never stop growing. And when I say grow, maybe you want to be a solo, you're an entrepreneur and you want to be a one-person shop. That's great. Maybe you want to have a team of 50 people. That's great too. There's no right or wrong there, and everyone's business is different. But no matter what your business model is and what your trajectory is, growth needs to be a part of it, and growth means different things for different people. And so we talk about that. In order to grow sustainably and responsibly and profitably, you have to understand how to track your sales. And I talked about this a little bit at the beginning in terms of tracking leads. But we take it a step further here and I actually you get another free bonus download in this course. It's our sales tracker template that we use so that it becomes very simple to start tracking your numbers and understanding those trends and being able to use them and consistently go back to them on a regular basis to reevaluate your strategies and figure out what's working, what's still working, what's not working, what might need to be tweaked. We also talk about goal setting. A lot of this course is, I use the word strategy a lot, and strategy is in the name of the course because ultimately that's what's important here. You can be the most talented floral designer, calligrapher, cake baker, photographer, videographer, caterer, hair and makeup artist, flute player, whatever it is that you have in terms of your gifts and talents that you give to the world. It doesn't matter how exceptional you are at that particular art form. If you cannot run a business and earn a profit, you may not be around to continue to serve your clients. And that at the end of the day is the most important thing. And that's why sales can't take a spot on the back burner. And I'm also just going to say right now, we are all in this really scary, unprecedented time. We have never lived through a pandemic like this before. None of us have. And the world is a scary place right now, and for small business owners and for employees of small businesses, and even if it's big business, in the meeting and special event and wedding industry, in the broader hospitality space, there is an enormous amount of uncertainty that is out of all of our control. But here's what I want to tell you today. Just because there's uncertainty, that is not a reason to let go of sound strategy and sales principles. That is a reason to cling to them further, to get very serious about them, and to continue to make sure that you are exceptionally good at connecting with the right clients and selling your services. If you don't do that, you will struggle, right? You will struggle in any scenario under those circumstances, but in a pandemic, you will struggle even more so. You have to use this time to build up sound practices, to be able to adapt your strategies, and to be able to shoot out of the gate the moment that it is safe to do so, to establish yourself as someone who is really dominant in your industry. And I will say this too, I've had a lot of conversations in sales interactions. We have recently booked 3 new weddings for next year in the past week and a half. I've had a lot of conversations with those clients and our former clients, and our clients who are experiencing the need to postpone their 2020 wedding into 2021. A lot of them have very real concerns about whether all their wedding vendors will still be in business next year. And those are valid concerns. And we have those concerns too about some of the vendors that we're partnered with and some of the folks that we're working with. It's scary because the companies who don't have it together in terms of understanding their numbers and their needs and what strategy they have to have in place in terms of how they book business, how they contract, how they price, and how they adapt to the circumstances, those companies likely are going to struggle. And I'm sharing this with you because I think it's important you know that your clients have that concern too. So coming full circle, just to reiterate, this is the time, if ever there was any, to be very serious about your sales strategy. And while we're all stuck at home in quarantine, doesn't mean you're not busy. I know we are busier right now than we've ever been, but our schedules are different. We're not working weddings every weekend. We have pockets of time that we might not normally have had, and those are the pockets of time in which you pursue education and you pursue coaching and you pursue ways to continue to refine your services and be exceptionally good at the inside business part of it. We wrap up the course with what you do when you feel stuck, what you do when you hit roadblocks with your sales strategy, how you foster a community of support, and how you continue to refine and ramp those things up. So I want to answer some of the questions that came in, and then I'll try to wrap up because I know I've been talking for quite a while. But one of the questions was, is there a payment plan? Which is a good question. Yes, there is. We weren't originally going to do this, but we are aware that this might be a hard time to make an investment in education. And the course right now, the Wedding Sales Strategy course, the introductory rate is $497, but you can choose to do 6 monthly payments of $97, which we wanted that to just be a really affordable, attainable option so that as many people as need this can have access to it. And if you choose to do the monthly payment plan, you still receive immediate full access to the course right away. So it doesn't mean that you don't get the course until 6 months from now when you complete those payments. And I think that's important to clarify. Another question that came in is this just for wedding planners? And I'm so happy someone asked that, because I might have forgotten to say this, but no, it's not. This course is not just for wedding planners. I very intentionally wrote this for any and every wedding industry professional at any and every level. For business owners, for people who are not business owners, but who are employees who are tasked with any kind of sales role. This is something that will benefit you tremendously. And in this course, while I do give a lot of very clear real life examples and historic analogies that pertain to our business, and if you missed me at the beginning, I'm operating a planning, design, and production company, but I also give you a lot of clear, concise scenarios that are not about our business, that pertain to photography or catering. And so this really is much broader than just content for wedding planners. And I guarantee that you'll benefit from this if you are anyone operating in the wedding industry space. This one wasn't a question, but we did get some feedback. So a couple of folks indicated that they're just not sure that this is the right time to purchase this. And I already talked about this a minute ago, but I just will say one more time very succinctly, this time now more than ever is the best time to purchase this. This is the time to expand your knowledge and understanding in your business sense and work on your business, right? We all work in our business on a day-to-day basis, and it's easy to get mired down in our workload and forget to work on our business. And we have to do that to keep it strong and make sure, quite frankly, that it will survive, especially at a time like this. So I also have this to share with you. The first 100 people that purchase the course are going to receive exclusive access to a live bonus course that I will teach later this month. I think it's May 21st, but we'll double check and we'll repost that for you. I don't have the calendar in front of me. But I will do a live webinar essentially, and I'm going to be talking about selling and pricing during the pandemic. And I want to be clear that all of the sales strategies and tactics and principles that I have written and am sharing with you in this digital course, those are sound. Those should not change, but we will talk about them in the context of our current scenario, and about ways that you might need to adjust or adapt or phase in some of those strategies, particularly if you are really going to make a big jump from what you're doing now in order to implement those. So I hope that you will be one of those first 100 people, so that I can see you in that live course later this month, because I know it will be incredibly helpful. I'm excited to dive into that content. So last thing I want to share with you, I've talked about the Wedding Sales Strategy course, but there actually are 4 courses. So the Wedding Sales Strategy course is the big main course, but we also have some other options that you'll want to check out as well. A couple of them are specifically for wedding planners, but not everything. We have another smaller course called Transitioning into the Luxury Market. We have one called, the percentage-based pricing, and that is for wedding planners. We're also going to be sharing some new announcements surrounding that course very soon as well. I'm going to be doing a webinar hosted by the Planners Vault. I'm excited to be a guest speaker for Planners Vault is a membership site for wedding planners, and so that's coming up next week. I'm going to be speaking with Megan Gillikin, who's the owner of Planners Vault and the owner of the Weddings for Real podcast. We're going to be talking about percentage-based pricing. And what's the other one that I'm missing? Adding additional revenue streams. And that's another good course. It's a mini course for wedding planners. And of course, there are options to bundle these as well. So if you decide that you would like to have more than just the wedding sales strategy course. There are tiered pricing options if you want to bundle. So here's what you need to do. A couple of things. Hop on to rremethod.com. You can find all sorts of details there. These courses officially launch on the 14th, but you can get instant access today, and all you have to do is hop on the RE Method Insiders email list. That's it. And you'll have instant access to purchase at the introductory rate. And then you have a greater likelihood of being one of those first 100 people so that you can join me for the live webinar later this month. Here's the other thing. If you have questions and you're just not sure and you just want to learn more about this, please don't be shy. Hop into direct messages, send us a DM, send us a note, send us an email, pick up the phone, send a carrier pigeon, whatever you prefer. And our team will be very accessible to you. We want you to feel excited and comfortable and just really jazzed when you click the button to purchase this course, because we know it's going to be a game changer for you. But we also know that it's a big investment. And so please reach out. We'll talk through whatever it is that you would like to know about before you do so. And I really mean that. Either myself personally, or Betsy, or Maddie, or Elizabeth, any of us can answer your questions. So I'm going to wrap this up. Thank you so much for joining me. It means a lot that you did. I know that whether you joined live or you're watching this later after the fact, that your time is precious and valuable. And I will end by saying that because your time is precious and valuable, that is exactly the reason why it's imperative that you understand how to properly sell your precious and valuable time so that you are earning what you're worth. You can continue to grow and run a sustainable, strong business, and you can serve people to the best of your ability. All right, friends.